Welcome, Namaskaram, Swagatam, Vande Mataram. This video is about the Vande Mataram controversy. Therefore, let me once again greet all of you. Vande Mataram. It's our cherished national song, whereas Janagana Mana is our national anthem. Vande Mataram is a song that I've been familiar with from my much younger days, the days of All India Radio, Akashvani. Almost every day, I used to listen to this tune, this song, and I have come to fall in love with it. Obviously, I don't sing it because I don't want to insult this beautiful song with my very poor singing talents. And I know that it's one of the most beautiful songs in the world. In 2003, the British Broadcasting Corporation selected Vande Mataram as one of the top 10 songs among the 7,000 songs it listed, belonging to some 155 countries. This is just to indicate what a priceless treasure this song is. And therefore, personally, I'm very sad that this has become the unenviable object or subject of a controversy. I feel awe-inspired by the quality and power of the sentiments and the nobility of the mind and imagination that created this masterpiece. I also lament that this national strength, this national treasure, has disappeared from our midst. All we can do today is to quarrel over it. It makes me very sad. It also makes me feel rather embarrassed. As all of us know, this song is taken from a novel, Anandamat by Bankim Chandra Chatterjee. It was published in 1882. Beautiful English translations are available. So I would commend to my viewers to read this novel, Anandamat, sometimes erroneously translated as The Abbey of Bliss. The novel served as a catalyst, a powerful catalyst for our freedom struggle. But the thing to note is the creativity and the freedom of mind that goes into it. So when I compare that with what our Prime Minister has advocated in his recent speech, which I've examined in another video, therefore I will not go into that track again. Let me again repeat this. A Dimagi Naxal alone could have created a song as beautiful and as great as this. But for the Dimagi Naxal who created this, and the many other Dimagi Naxals who thought differently from the dominant thinking of the time, we would still have been thinking of God Save the King. And nothing more needs to be said about it. In 1950, Vande Mataram was adopted as a national song, omitting the last two stanzas because they were thought to be capable of hurting the sentiments of Muslims. In those days, unlike today, respecting each other's sentiments was not deemed a mark of weakness. Here I would raise a question. Should it really have hurt the sentiments of the Muslims? I personally think it should not have. But insofar as it was deemed at that time that the last two stanzas of this wonderful him could insult the religious sentiments of Muslims. It presents to us a religious problem which we need to examine. And that religious problem is that all religions are dogmatic. There's no religion which is dogmatic. Even Buddhism, which is supposed to be the least dogmatic of Indian, I'm talking about religions of Indian origin. And in relation to its fundamentals, even Buddhism is dogmatic. Now, what's the problem with dogmatism? Dogmatism implies a fixed mental framework, which is settled once and for all. No matter how far back in the past it was created, you're duty bound to fit yourself into this narrow frame of thought. And this very mechanism, this very arrangement breeds a defensive mentality. It makes you become very defensive. And the defensive mentality breeds irrational rigidity in you. That is to say, about anything that is dogmatic, anything that you hold dogmatically, you are unfree as well as incapable to enter into a rational, open-minded discussion on its meaning, on its relevance, etc., etc. That's why I say that it breeds rigidity, irrational rigidity. It's very difficult to engage a person who is dogmatic in any form of sensible, rational exchange of views. And this irrational rigidity of mind is anti-life. It's contrary to the very nature, logic, and principle of life. So, if you are dogmatic, you get trapped in the past, from which you are not free to liberate yourself. This is a very serious problem. And unfortunately, because most people are religious, they don't realize that this is a problem and that it is doing serious harm to their personality, to their interpersonal relations, and to their range of freedom, etc. Just ask, if the two stanzas of Vande Mataram are also sung by all, that is to say, if all the 6 stanzas of Vande Mataram are sung by all Indians 24 hours a day, 7 hours of the week, and all the months of the year, if 145 crore Indians stand together and sing all the 6 stanzas of Vande Mataram at the top of their voice, would it solve any of our problems? Also ask, if the last two stanzas are also sung, will it anger your gods? Will it anger the Allah of Muslim or Jesus Christ of Christianity or vagera, vagera, vagera? Absolutely not. So the entire controversy is absolutely senseless. But it serves a purpose. And that purpose, or it's a twofold purpose. The one is, it has got very powerful diversionary scope. If you want to divert the attention from a present situation that's going against your interest, your calculation, then this helps in order to divert attention from that present day situation and reality. The second way in which this helps is that it enables, especially Modi and Shah, to create a counter pressure group. Now, for example, the Cockroach Janata Party has become a very major pressure group. a pressure group to reckon with. So you need a counter pressure group. And in order to create a counter pressure group, you need some masala. And this is the best. So you have to appreciate the sharpness of intellect that goes into transforming Vande Mataram precisely at this juncture in time in this particular manner. I don't want to repeat myself, let's go on. In my opinion, the eulogy of, or the adoration of Durga really need not offend, as found in the last two stanzas, Durga, Saraswati, etc., Lakshmi, goddess of wealth. These things really need not offend my Muslim brothers and sisters. If they think rationally, whether they should think rationally or not is their choice, but if they think rationally, it need not offend anyone. Why? Because it's only a song. It's not an act of worship, it's only a song. It's like any other song. So as a song, it belongs to the realm of art. Now, if you go to an art gallery, you see a beautiful drawing, painting of Lord Shiva, Shiva dance, or Ma Durga. As a person interested in art, you will not be offended. The same thing here. Whatever exists in the realm of art must be treated as art. And there is a distinction between art and life, and that distinction matters. The function of art is to unite. Art transcends the divisive barriers that human beings otherwise erect in the name of religion and politics. Art unites. Now, if you attend a concert, you will not really mind if the singer, the vocalist is a Muslim, a Hindu, a Parsi, a Christian. You only pay attention to the quality of the rendering. Therefore, art has this wonderful power to deliver you from some of these fixations. That's how art unites, whereas religion divides. Unfortunately, in this context, it's not the artistic aspect of Vande Mataram that is projected and brought to the fore, but the religious aspect. And the greatest irony in this context is an art form, which, as I said, should unite, is now used to alienate, to divide. So, forcing people to sing Vande Mataram, either one stanza or four stanzas or all the six stanzas, actually violates the very spirit of the song. So in the process of, or under pretext of honoring Vande Mataram, you're actually insulting, violating its spirit. It's a beautiful song. I have no religious scruples. As a Christian, I'm an ardent, devoted follower of Jesus Christ. I have absolutely no scruples in singing this song, Vande Mataram, except, as I said, because I'm such a poor singer, cruder. I desist from singing this song because I don't want to insult others with my bad singing talents. So if I sing Vande Mataram in public, I could offend others. But my singing Vande Mataram will have no value for Sangh Parivar simply because I don't resist it. But that tells its own story, nothing more about it needs to be said. And it also is interesting to note in this context that one of the most memorable renderings of this song is by a Muslim, A.R. Rahman. Now, as a sincere practicing Muslim, it does not hurt Rahman's sentiments because he is rational and sensible enough to realize that he is working in the domain of art, which, as I said, transcends all these labels of division. The inability to recognize the distinction or the boundary between art and reality is a form of madness. Again, I will not explain all the implications of what I'm saying. However, let's make a virtue of this necessity. We have presented with a controversy. I wish the controversy had not occasioned. The controversy had not arisen, it has. And therefore, let's make a virtue of necessity. This controversy creates the ideal context for examining perhaps the most important concept of all, which is our idea of God. Obviously, there can't be a more important idea or concept than this. What is our understanding of God? Now, we all agree that God is one. God is one. And in this context, consider briefly the paradox in Hinduism. Hinduism also subscribes to the idea that the ultimate reality, God, Brahma, is one. That's why Brahma Vidya Jagat Mithya. The reality, Brahma alone is real, and the world is Mithya. It is unreal. So the Advaita philosophy. You have diversity, you have variety, but ultimately reality is one. So, God is one, but there are 33 crore gods. Now, in the religion of the Romans in the ancient days, they had 30,000 gods. Each god is assigned a particular aspect of life, and therefore you have a huge pantheon of gods. The Greeks had their pantheon of gods. So, two things coexist. One is the idea, the universal idea that God is one. Second is something seemingly contrary, that there are so many gods. So, what is the inference? What is the truth that we can infer from this? What this clearly means is, that is, there's only one God, but we have so many gods. There's only one meaning in this, and that is, all our various gods are representations, various representations that have come into being in various contexts, various periods in history, various cultures, various ways of life, of that one God. God is only one, there's no question about it. Then there are these multiple crores of gods. They can only be the various versions of this one God that have come into being in specific contexts during various periods in history, due to various circumstances of life. And therefore, all these various images of God, versions of gods, are purely man-made. So God created human beings, but human beings create gods. And each of those gods has a correspondence to that God, but it's not a replica of that God. The problem arises when people say that our version of God alone is God. That's where the problem lies. And this is what causes bad blood among religions. Now, let me be a little more philosophical about this. I'll make it as simple as I can. One of the attributes of God is that God is infinite. Infinite. No limit can be fixed. Infinite. Now, everyone knows that the infinite cannot be represented. Therefore, God cannot be represented. But still, God is represented. And therefore, what is represented is not the fullness of God. And that logic should be clear and simple. To represent anything is to limit what is represented. The infinite cannot be limited. And when you represent anything, you limit it. And therefore, the infinite cannot be represented in any one particular authentic, exhaustive form. You can't create an image of God, an idea of God, a form of God, and say that this is the only God. The moment I have stated an idea, I have limited it. For example, suppose I have a beautiful idea in my mind. I'm a poet. I write a poem. No matter how sublime the poem I create, but the very fact that I have created, I've sort of reduced it to a poem, I've limited the sublimity of my idea. If that is true about an idea, how much more it is true about God? So whatever we say about God limits God. And therefore, every representation of God falsifies the infinite nature of God. This is something all of us have to understand. At least in the 21st century, we have to understand this. So all gods and goddesses in every religion, including mine, are man-made. Now, Plato, for example, rejected the Greek gods. You know why? Because he said the Greek gods were all invented by Homer, the epic poet, whose epic poems, the Iliad and Odyssey, really constitute the granary for Greek gods. We can only create according to our limitations. Let me here refer to a Greek philosopher called Xenophanes, who said that if you ask a horse to draw the picture of God, that picture will resemble a horse. That is to say, we can only create according to our nature and our limitations. So if one particular group has created a picture of God, an idea of God, it's not really God as such. It is a limitation of that group in understanding and representing God. That's what it really is. So if anyone wants to be sensible about these things, if we really believe that God, if we really believe that God is one, there would have been no religious wars or communal rights. How can we fight about the one God in whom we all believe? The moment you say that God is one, the scope for every religious war, every communal right is over once and for all. So all communal conflicts and quarrels between human beings based on religions and their versions of gods must end. And what are these communal or religious wars? It's my version of God against your version of God. So it is as follows. You draw a picture of a horse. I also draw the picture of a horse. And then we begin to fight each other by saying that my version of the horse alone is horse. Your version of the horse is not horse. Why? Because your horse is brown in color, my horse is black in color, and all horses that are black in color alone are horses, and any horse which has any other color is some other animal. We can go on fighting over this if we are sufficiently stupid. And in my opinion, all religious conflicts and communal rights are downright insufferably stupid. That's really where I stand. By the way, I don't endorse the idea of inferiority and superiority of religions. No one who believes that God is one can talk about the inferiority or superiority of religion. Then there is another ironic thing that we need to mind. None of us really cares for our gods or our religious doctrines. We pretend that we attach absolute value to these things only when we want to quarrel and we want to fight in the name of gods. Let me give you some examples. Now, in Hinduism, God is understood as truth. Truth is God. BJP is the political wing of Hindutva, And Hindutva is today quite erroneously equated with Hinduism, but let's accept it, because even the Supreme Court said that Hindutva is an expression of Hinduism. Fine, take it as that. But Hindutva has no problem endorsing post-truth politics. That is politics that actually has now no place for God. And it will use gods for political gains, but it will not accept God as truth. So, professing fervor for a God doesn't mean that you will have any value for truth. You will not allow truth to stand in the way of your political gains. There you will use any kind of falsehood. So that shows how much we care for God, number one. Number two, as regards religious doctrines, Hinduism believes in rebirth. Now tell me, if you really believe in rebirth, how can you target a fellow human being? A Muslim today could have been your grandmother, the grandmother of a Hindu in the previous birth. How do you know that it is otherwise? Or take another example. We believe that God is almighty. If God is almighty, why does he need your protection and mine? Why do we have to fight for this almighty God? If God is almighty, can't we trust him to protect himself, save himself? So look at it any which way you want. We really don't believe in practice. What we pretend are matters of life and death significance for us. Now, let's take up another very pertinent issue in the immediate context. That is, of course, the political question, which is now becoming hotter and hotter, about Vande Mataram, whether we should use the fervor for Mother India as a political visiting card, calling card. Just ask a simple question. Do we really allow our fervor, our devotion to Mother India to influence our actions and reactions, our choices and needs as Indians? Just consider two examples. Our love for India, our love for Mother India does not prevent us from poisoning her with corruption, with falsehood, and with inefficiency. Look at the state of our infrastructure, our roads, for example, on which lakhs of crores has been spent. The fervor for Mother India is not there in our infrastructure projects. I hope no one will challenge me on this at least. We forget our fervor for Mother India when it comes to raking in a huge profit. Our fervor for our devotion to Mother India is not at all visible in our work culture. Or consider another thing. As I said in my video on Vande Mataram, the purpose of Vande Mataram is to promote the sameness of spirit among all Christians. So it is to serve as a unifying influence. But we have no qualms in using Vande Mataram to spread alienation and disaffection. By aggressively wielding Vande Mataram like a stick against those who are disliked. Now, let's be a little more specific in our thinking. Recently, a very interesting case was reported. Reported very, very grudgingly by the mainstream media, but social media took it up. The Congress president of the International Congress, Mallikarjun Kharge, addressed a meeting in Ramlila Maidan at Uttarakhand. What happened? The hotheads in the Hindutva camp who consider Mallikarjun Kharge being a Dalit as an untouchable, purified the area. Shuddhikaran kar diya. Mallikarjun Kharge is also a son of Mother India. And I saw him at Congress headquarters standing and singing Vande Mataram. That itself has become another controversy because people are forever on the prowl to create controversies. So, he will be only considered an untouchable, though some of the leaders of the BJP say that the BJP doesn't believe in untouchability. The fact of the matter is that he's treated by people belonging to the same camp as an untouchable. So, in which emotional state should Mallikarjun Kharge sing Vande Mataram? This intrigued me a great deal. That's why I'm just flagging it. So, therefore, we need to ask, is it the song per se that matters, or the opportunity to use it as an excuse to inflict your will on others? Ask further, how many of the Vande Mataram enthusiasts know the song in its origin and meaning? How many of them really know the song by heart? How many of them actually respect the sentiments of the song? Beautiful sentiments. Please consider this question. Or how many of them can explain what Mother India will lose after the salutation to Mother India? Please explain what Mother India will lose if the last two stanzas are omitted. Let's be factual about it. Let's get real. So let me end with a suggestion. Let the BJP president, the present BJP president, give an hour-long lecture covered by all 900 TV channels in India on the meaning and profundity of Vande Mataram, the song that we all cherish. And also explain how this is relevant to every Indian. Then I will be able to sing it, at least in my bathroom, with greater fervor and keener enjoyment, greater conviction, greater enthusiasm, greater nationalistic fervor. Jai Hind, Vande Mataram.